You chat all day long, and I'm going to put it to these panels. The hard-hitting questions they don't normally get asked. So I'm going to move to one side, and I'm going to start asking some questions.
Goodbye,
First
Will.
off,
Bye,
see you guys
nice
there.
knowing
Bye. All right. Well, the first question is, I want you just to give a quick introduction to yourselves, who you are, in case people don't actually know who you are. Starting with you, Gavin, on the left.
Hey, my name is Gavin Verhey. I'm a principal game designer on Magic the Gathering, so I design what the cards do. And I also am kind of the Wizards side of the Pauper format panel, so I interface with Wizards and then work with the other group. But a lot of people call me the leader. I am not. We all work together, right? We have to all agree on everything. We all want to talk about everything for a long time. I just ultimately, email the people at Wizards when it's time to make the changes. But otherwise, yeah, we're all pretty equivocal in our work.
Okay, I'm Emma Partlow. I am the UK representative of the Pauper Format Panel. I'm the content head for TCG Player, so I do a lot of content around them. And yeah, I'm just one of the 2 European representatives for the Pauper Format Panel, and the other one is right next to me.
Yeah, I'm Mirko Ciavatta. I'm the representative for the Italian community, so I'm happy to be there.
Amazing community.
Yeah,
I'm
fantastic.
just a player.
Not just a player.
I'm just a
You've won
player.
Paupergeddon a few times.
Yeah.
Big deal.
It's humble brags. It's humble brags. Don't worry. Gavin on the left is trying to catch you at this point. He's going to throw it out there. Is currently 7-0 in the Paupergeddon. Absolutely undefeated today, smashing it. So my first question is, how was the panel made? How did you decide to come together to then be the panel for Pauper?
Yeah, so I can talk about that a little bit. Basically what happened was, so we used to manage Pauper in-house, right, with our other formats in Wizards. But one of the problems was there was no, not a lot of people at Wizards are experts in Pauper, right? And very few people know the format well. And as a result, some of the bannings were taking a long time. Right? I remember Fall from Favor came out. It took a long time for that card to get banned. Shatterstorm and Galvanic Relay came out. It took a long time. And it was partially because the team who manages the bans, while they're very smart and very incredible people, they just don't know the format super well. So me and Aaron Forsyth, really Aaron, it was mostly his idea, had the idea of what if we tried making it an offshoot, right? What if we had it sort of like how Commander does it, where it was his own group running it? And that was the idea of the Pauper format panel. So I was the guy that knows Pauper. I've loved Pauper for years. I played Pauper on Magic Online before there were even events for Pauper. You had to play it with people, and there wasn't even a format you could play. And so I've always loved Pauper, and so I was tagged in for this. And then it was my job to figure out who it was going to be. So I just did a lot of work. I asked a lot of people, and ended up coming to the conclusion of the 6 other individuals that I went ahead and asked, including these 2.
And no one said no, right?
Nobody said no. Everyone, I thought for sure someone would say no. No one declined.
Love it. Okay, well, the next...
Actually, well, anyway.
Oh,
No,
gossip.
sorry. No, sorry.
Oh, no, okay.
Stream.
So that's how the panel was made and how we decided on it. But what does the panel actually do overall? How do you do it? What do the 7 of you come together to actually do with the format of Pauper?
Yeah, so important things. So what the panel does not do, besides me for my job, obviously, is does not make cards or downshift cards, right? Sometimes people are like, will you please downshift this? It's like, no one has anything to do with that. We manage the bans, right? So we look at the format, we monitor the health, we decide if we try and figure out if the format is healthy or not. And then ultimately, we give a recommendation of Wizards when we want to make a change. Now, Wizards ultimately still has the end veto power, right? If we're like, we want to ban 77 commons, all from the new set, they're going to be like, guys, what are you doing? But for the most part, we've gotten to do, we haven't been blocked on anything yet. And that's kind of how the relationship works. I mean, you can maybe speak more to the play side of things, perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So we just, so for transparency's sake, we just have I want to stress it's a very active Discord where we're always talking. You have to understand we're all on different time zones, so the conversation is always flowing. It doesn't ever end. And we always talk about, the Magic Online data, what's most representative of that week. Alex Ullman, who's one of the US representatives for the Pauper format panel, always gives us a load of pie charts and lots of data and gets really nitty gritty into data, so we can make a decision going, okay, XYZ might be a problem. We should probably keep an eye on this in case something else happens. And we're very proactive, and we always talk a lot. It's not like we don't talk for a week in case something happens. It's like that conversation's always flowing, even if the format is, even if there isn't new cards coming out, for example.
I always love waking up and seeing a bunch of new messages, right? It's like, you guys have been talking, and I wake up and there's 27 new messages or something. I'm going to catch up on what I missed.
Yeah.
For me, it's easy because I'm a shift worker, so I usually I usually don't sleep during the night, so for me it's easy to reply to the message in the real time. but yeah, we simply discuss everything that can happen
Just feels
inside.
like one big long conversation
Yeah.
and a couple of different channels just to like.
A never-ending
that.
conversation.
True, right. And I want to shout out the other members too. You've got Saito in Japan, you've got Paige also in the U.S., and then we've got Weber down in Brazil. So it's a
Yes.
very well covered area.
Yeah.
And one thing like that's a dedication. You know, let's say it's an ever-going chat that you've been a part of for years now. It's not ever ended. But I also, coming from the outside, I think that's why it's personally my most balanced format in Magic the Gathering. I think you're all doing a stellar job on that, like you, and keep it up. But here comes some hard-hitting questions from chat. So
We'll find out on Sunday if it's balanced. Okay?
Well-
so we'll give it a little
don't
more
set
time.
yourself up. Oh, wait, quickly, just one-word answers. What's your pet deck at the minute? Starting for you, Gavin.
I'm playing I'm playing Mardu Synthesizer today.
Classic.
So that's my deck. I built it yesterday.
Yeah.
I played in a trial. I did badly, and then I built this deck, brewed it till 2 a.m. last night, and played it today.
Yeah, I can say that I lost many hours of sleep just to help you to build this deck.
Oh, it's paying off 7-0 today, so it's going well.
Yes.
Going good.
But obviously, the when I say one-word answers, we clearly need to work on that one, chat. So again,
You can't
Emma,
say your deck in one word. Is that what you're just
Mardu. I don't know.
I do what?
Mardon't.
Bogles.
Bogles?
I really like the MH3 card, Malevolent Rumble. It just gives it some extra agency.
Yeah, it's
that's
pretty
been
cool.
Missing. It's pretty big.
So currently just Sky Ephemerate, but my love is Tron and Pauper Panel ban it.
All right, I've got some questions from chat here. So this is from Butchercore. My question is, would you downshift the Hypnotic Spectre? Would it break Pauper? If not, please, Dark Ritual Hippie.
Well, I have my answer, but I'll let you guys go first.
Well, we can't downshift stuff, so
Would you, though? Would you? If you could, do you think that card's too powerful for format if it got downshifted to common? Would you be like, okay, pre-ban it, or...
It's interesting. Banning's like a really strong word to use here.
There's a lot of ban talk, by the way. There's a lot going to be coming up
There's
how you
gonna
guys
be a
sort
lot
that
of
out.
ban talk. It's just what it is, but I think it's interesting. I have to think on it.
All right.
Like historically, Hippie's like a very strong card, so
Yeah.
My answer, do you have anything from Mirko on this one?
Go.
My answer is I both don't think it would be strong enough, because if you go Dark Ritual Hypnotic Spectre and your opponent has any removal on the first turn,
Yeah.
you just are so far behind. But I think it would not be that fun, so it probably wouldn't be great, right? Like Hypnotic Spectre is a pretty unfun Magic card. You just played it if you played on turn one, and your opponent doesn't have an answer, the game just slowly ends. So I don't really see the delight in doing that, except for tickling those who've been playing since 1993. So sorry, Hypnotic Spectre fans.
All right, next question. Do you feel confident in the decision made on Critical Ram? Obviously, pre-banned Mono Horizons 3 before no one actually got to touch the card before it was banned. Are you happy with that? Also, I would love to know if the favorite Pauper decks are right now. We've covered that bit, but are you happy with the decision of pre-banning it, especially after the last couple of weeks of a lot of Pauper action happening? You still in favor of it? You think
yeah,
it was good?
I think it was the best decision we could make. But you have to understand, having something like Paupergeddon is really unique. We don't get a lot of big tabletop Pauper events. So imagine if Cranial Ram was legal, you're going to have, like, Grixis Affinity is like one of the most represented decks this weekend already.
Yeah, ready.
Imagine what would happen if Cranial Ram was legal, and then you got people playing like Dust to Dust main boards, and then you're playing these sideboard hate cards in the main board. That is a problem.
Okay.
That's not creating a good environment.
I'll say it's really two things. First of all, Grixis Affinity is the #1 most played deck in this tournament. So with the ban, it is still the #1 most played deck, which tells you the current round would have even pushed over the top even further. Second of all, as Emma alluded to, it's very unusual. We would not normally do this in this situation. We would let it just ride on Magic Online for a couple weeks and then ban it. But because of both the Magic Online Creator Showcase earlier in the week, or end of last week really, and this event, the BNR restricted announcement would be on Monday. So what would have happened in the alternate universe is we would know we're going to ban Cranial Ram. We'd have this event this weekend in which Cranial Ram does well. Then we would immediately ban it on Monday, making everyone that played in this tournament all weekend feel silly, and all the deck lists would be invalid, which sounded just like not the best outcome to us.
No. I also actually like if you think your card's too powerful pre-ban. I'm not now going to buy into that deck. I'm not going to buy 4 copies of the card, then you ban it. I feel really bad about it.
The deck is still really good without the card
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
we've seen that.
dissolve Grixis Affinity anyway.
Like I said, #1 most played deck at the tournament.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, next up. What is your favorite podcast, and why is it the Casting Commons? Or do you just in general have a favorite Pauper podcast between
I know
you?
who this is.
Could it be one of the hosts of casting comments out there? in the
Maybe,
comments?
but
Yeah.
I said I'll ask every question that's put in chat, and that is one of the
Okay.
questions. So, do you have a favorite podcast, each of you? So, like in Magic, let's give a Magic podcast. Doesn't have to be Pauper, but a favorite Magic podcast.
Oh, that's really hard.
Maybe you don't listen to them. Some people don't listen to podcasts.
Well, I love podcasts. I've been listening to them for a long time. I love Cube, and there's a number of Cube-related podcasts that I really get into. So like Lucky Paper Radio
That's
is
my
phenomenal,
one,
and those guys do a great job on the data of Cube. I just actually finished building a cube. They got accepted into CubeCon, so I'll be there later this
Sick.
year with my sweet cube. It's very unusual, and so they have a lot of great information about the Cube community.
Sweet.
So I feel like there is only one Italian podcast, so I have to tell the Bojuka Pod. So it's
That's a good name.
yes.
That is a good name.
The name is amazing, and they did a great job. So it's all in Italian, so you cannot know, but yes.
But one thing I can't stress enough about Paupergeddon is when you walk around out there, you see everyone wearing their local area shirts, right? Like everyone's got their
Yes,
teams.
yeah.
You see all the teams around. And Bajuka Pod has a number of shirts out there, and they've got their stickers, and they're all a team, which is really amazing.
Yes.
I love that.
Love a sticker. Right. Next question. How likely is it to unban a card in the near future?
I think unbannings are totally plausible. We've talked about a number of them.
Yes,
Like
we
Prophetic
have,
Prism
yeah.
is the one we keep coming back to. In fact, the deck I'm playing today, I have to play Energy Refractor in because I can't play Prophetic Prism.
Yeah.
So I just want to play a fair Prophetic Prism, and I can't. So
So now the question is, if you win this tournament, if you will win this tournament, is this a point?
no, but so we talked about Prism. Maybe I think it'll come back. The thing is, we didn't want to unban a card right as Modern Horizons 3 came out because
Yes.
so much was changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we talked about Prism. We talked about Expedition Map.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff we've chatted about before.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
like Modern Horizons is doing so much to Pauper, more than we expected.
Yeah.
Like look at Ponza, for example, and like Fraben Charm is just everywhere, which is something we didn't really anticipate. So
Yeah.
it's doing good.
I mean, it's a cool card, but I
Yeah.
didn't expect it to show up as much. And like, there's Writhing Crystals. I knew it was great and limited, but like, it's all over
Also,
the tables
Sneaky
here.
Snacker. for
Sneaky
Madness
Snacker.
as
Oh,
well.
that is a
Yes.
card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Imagine that with a ram attached to it, flying over every time. No, okay, well, we're not going to that. We're not
Thumbs
going to
down.
that. Yeah,
you
okay.
can't kill the pump and you can't kill the creature.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the
yeah.
problem.
It's pretty rough. Next up, how unanimous does it have to be to come to the decision of banning a card? Like, does all 7 members have to say yes, or is it like a majority vote?
Well, so far, all decisions have been unanimous.
Yes.
That's good.
Sometimes, like, we talk for a long time, and sometimes we go back and forth on things for a while, which is frankly why it takes a little bit longer sometimes.
Yes.
But so far, they've all been unanimous. It's certainly possible someday in the future that won't be the case, but I hope we can all reach a consensus on things
Yeah.
generally.
The point is, if we are not all agree, we continue to discuss until we find a
And then
point
it's like,
in the
why
middle.
are you against this? And then we're like, it's because of this. And then it's like, cool, we'll have that conversation. And then it's like, I understand this now in a bigger picture sense. And then we make the decision.
Yeah, there's been multiple, and I really want to shout out to the group too, because there's been multiple times that we've been like very close to taking action, and there was one holdout,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
made some great points. We're like, oh, actually, we should change what we're going to do. So, we've had a lot of great discussions because we're not just a majority rule situation.
As I said earlier, like that Discord is just like permanently ongoing. We're always talking, and there is some
Yes.
back and forth. There is some pushback on stuff, and yeah, it's good to just have those difficult conversations. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, maybe someday there won't be, but I really like the fact we've all been trying to do that
Yeah.
for now.
Yeah, it means you got the right people in the right place. Everyone's convincing. That's good to see.
The team is incredible, right? And the fact that we're both around the world, so everyone can chime in with their local area. Like Italy is huge for Pauper.
Oh,
So
yeah.
is Brazil, and Japan is growing. Of course, there's a U.S. scene. So you've got the pulse on Europe. So like it really is super useful to hear from everybody.
Cool. Next up, can you speak about the number of bans aimed at Affinity and related strategies over the years? Is there a number that would be too many? I imagine it's picked up a lot of bans over the years. Is it because Affinity or it's just such a strong mechanic, and basically every artifact that gets printed in Magic, you now have to look at and be like, hold on a minute, this might be a bit too good.
The exercise I often think about is imagine if you just took any card that rewards you for having artifacts and you replace that word with land. And it just that's how it works a lot of the time, right? Goblin Tomb Raider, it says, I get plus and plus O if you control a land. And it's like, well, it sounds pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
So, I've got some thoughts on this. I don't know if you guys want to have anything you want to say before I go.
No, you can go for it. I'm pretty sure I'll agree with you because we've had this conversation a lot about
Yes.
the artifact lands. Obviously, that's the elephant in the room right now, and we do talk about them a lot internally.
We've talked about the artifact lands a ton, both the bridges and the original ones.
Yeah.
And kind of our conclusion was that we've gone back and forth on them a bunch. When we talked about banning glitters, we actually talked very seriously about banning all the bridges at the same time. And then we looked at some decks that just the bridges were not even impacted that much. They weren't even playing a full set of the normal artifact lands. So I think the bridges are certainly always in dangerous territory. But one thing I will say is walking around this room, there's a lot of decks that are just playing bridges, not an affinity, right? There's like the Jessica Ephemerate deck. We've seen there's a bunch. How many? It's the fifth. It's the sixth most popular play deck in the tournament, Jeskai Ephemerate, which of course uses the Cleansing Wildfire.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of decks use it for more fair reasons. So there's real cost to knocking those lands. But with that said, we're gonna keep making Artifact Matters cards at Wizards in the future. So we gotta
you have to think
balance them
about the
somehow.
limit format, and that's what it is. So.
Yeah, maybe someday. Yeah, I mean it's we'll see what happens with Modern Horizons 3 and go from there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see what happens on Sunday. How many Grixis Affinity are in top 8?
I don't think this is in your wheelhouse, but I'll ask it, and you can tell me it's just not in your wheelhouse. But is there a chance that Pauper will be considered by Wizards as a competitive format as Modern and Pioneer is?
Well, I guess this is pretty squarely for
given,
me.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would love that personally. I love Pauper. I love coming to events like this. And the biggest thing I can say is even though right now in that room we have 700 players, playing Magic, or even more, you can consider the side events, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Pauper is still relatively small compared to other formats, where it's got a big Magic Online scene, less so in stores, less so outside of Italy. So the biggest thing I always say is if you want Pauper to grow and hit, some kind of large competitive event, there has to be the demand for it. So get your local stores playing. Here in Italy, kind of every different region, I love it. Every region of Italy has its own Pauper league, and they all come together for the Geddons, right? So every region has so many. You can talk about this probably a bunch, right? Yeah.
This is like the Paupergeddon is like let me say the Pro Tour of Pauper currently, but it could be very interesting to have a qualification for the Pro Tour, for the real Pro Tour. So it's something that we will try to hit maybe in the future, but it's ongoing. We don't know. It could be possible or not. I don't know.
It's good that you got future
we'll try.
aspirations. Like that's the goal, right? You want to eventually have it so people can qualify playing
that's the
Pauper.
goal that we will try to hit. I don't know if it will be possible, but
And this is why you have all the different shirts, because they're coming from different Italian regions.
I love it. Yeah.
It's just like it's a very European thing where you have like sports team shirts, but you're representing your team and you're playing in this Pauper event, and there's a lot of regional rivalries and stuff, and it creates this sort of like narrative, which is really good for Pauper.
I want to see that more in the States, where someone walks in just wearing Nebraska. You never see that, but I love it here. It's great.
yes.
All right, I'm being asked, why is there so few options for control in the format? Is that because of the over the weekend? Bear in mind, I'm very new to Pauper. To me, the spells are incredibly powerful, and the creatures are not. That we can tell that there should be a lot of control decks floating now. Why are we not seeing so many? Is it because the format? Is that just the meta we're in right now? Is it because everybody's trying MH3 cards that aren't really, in the control angle?
Jeskai Ephemerate's in one of the top 6, and that's like the premier control deck right now.
Yeah.
All right.
You have stuff like Dimir Control, so Talarian Terror is normally quite a good option for these decks. I think it's mostly because people just want to jam the MH3 cards, and this Ponza deck is looking really good. It's like the most played deck at Paupergeddon right now, and just having that snowball effect of like, I'm going to Thermocast your land, I'm going to play a Riving Chrysalis, I'm going to, play an Avenging Hunter and just snowball. Like, control can't like beat that in a lot of situations, so... I think a lot of people are just excited to play with MH3 because historically Modern Horizon sets are very powerful, and there's just a lot of excitement to play with new powerful cards.
Why do you think, Hyson? What do you think about control?
I think that spells are strong, but we can see how threats like the new Chrysalid can completely change the game, so completely change the meta game. So we can see that there are a lot of creatures that are big threats, more than tons of spells. So I think that currently you can play every strategy in the current meta. You have control, you have also the new combo deck, some aggro. I think that...
It's saying aggro. So someone's saying here, and I guess this is an unbanned question. Can we unban Days, Gush, Phyrexian Pro because Blitz decks are lacking? I don't think they watched the last round where we saw a mono red player literally go turn 1 Goblin Guide, turn 2 Goblin Guide, turn 3 Goblin Guide into Bushwhacker, into Shatter. It just looked like completely one-sided. But
I mean, it's stronger than
It's
a
a very-
Goblin Guide.
I was about to say, why have we got Goblin Guide in this format? But a better version. You know what I mean? Coming from
But
the
a better
outside, coming in, someone went turn 1, take for 2. I went, do I get to get a land here? Like, what's going on? Like, where's it? That card seems pretty incredible
So the
going
question
forward.
is, why modern players are still playing the Goblin
Yeah.
Guide? While there is a better creature.
Look, if you want to unban the artifact lands in modern, I'm all here for it.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
But,
we don't run that panel, I'm afraid. So,
but if you guys were in charge, you would definitely do that, right? Just for favoritism. No, just nod and everyone would love you. Just go, yeah, we'll definitely do that.
you're
We'll-
nodding really aggressively right now. I just want people at home to know that.
As we all know, artifact lands never cause any problems.
No,
so.
but going back to the whole control thing, control tends to do well when a meta game is settled. Like the meta game isn't settled now because you have Modern Horizons free. So maybe in a month or so, once people have figured out the Modern Horizons cards that fit in these Pauper decks, control can start establishing and figuring out the answers to the questions that Modern Horizons brings.
Yeah, and also call out that Cawgate and Just Sky Ephemerate are among 2 more popular decks in the room, right?
Right.
So there is still a lot of control happening there. I've seen Black Green Gardens, I've seen other stuff
Oh, cool,
happening.
yeah.
So there's control decks in the room for sure.
Weirdly, and I don't know if this is something, of course, I'm an Infect player, I want this to happen, but I imagine there's another reason for it that chat starts to keep pointing out about Invigorate. Why?
Invigorate.
Yeah, like, what harm would that do unbanning it? Would it just make the Infect decks too good, or is there another deck that would really take advantage of
Imagine a turn through kill.
that? I've seen that this weekend.
I mean,
Yes,
Will's
but
done
within
it,
a
yeah.
format of topple land.
Look, all I want is Infect to be best in every format possible, okay?
Monochrome Infect had some representation
did.
yesterday.
Well, actually, Poison Storm's 7-0 today, so we
Just
do
saying.
have it, but
Like traditional Infect did well yesterday.
Okay.
Or it had some
yeah, we saw it
representation.
yesterday. It had a good run. What else was chat saying here? I'm going to go back to my phone.
I mean,
saying I'm gonna flip
also,
back.
hold on, Heisen, you're totally right? Like,
Yeah.
turn 1 Glistener Elf, attack, invigorate, pump spell, the game is over, right?
Yeah.
Just,
We don't want that.
Yeah.
It's both not fun and it really puts a pressure on the format that isn't enjoyable, right? You have to interact on the first turn or
Yeah.
you might just lose, right? Or
Yeah.
but if you just play like a Thrabin Inspector, it's like, oh no, how
Yeah.
can you do that? So it's not a very enjoyable experience, I think.
Okay. What's the most underrated card in Pauper, do you think? What card have you all like kind of looked at and went, "Oh, that should see more play than it probably should?
This is a good question. I need to think on this.
Lembus.
Yeah.
Why is it not called
It's
Lumbus
Lumbus
bread?
because
It's Lumbus
Will's-
bread. Everyone that's watched Lord of the Rings knows it's Lumbus bread. Why are we calling it Lumbus? Graze me crazy, but okay, Lumbus.
Because it says on the card.
Yeah, I know. But I don't, who names cards? Who comes up with, when you make a set? Who comes up with naming the
There's
cards?
a whole creative team that names the cards. Yeah, and
Another
with their
panel.
with their Universes Beyond releases, they also often work with the people that run the IP
Yeah,
to
okay.
help with the names as well, or have some back and forth there. So I don't know the story of Lembus, but I know the card is great.
Yeah,
The
we
card is
see you cast it a
very
lot.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
last year when I was here at Paupergeddon, that was the new card, right? Lord of the Rings, Tales
Oh,
of Middle Earth had
sure,
just
sure,
come
yeah,
out.
sure.
And people were running around the room trying to find Lembuses as it broke out in the tournament. Now a year later, Lembus, still good. Yeah.
All right. What does it mean to see like literally over 650 players turn up for one event to play Pauper? You
It's
know,
awesome.
There's
Amazing.
more than
It's
that,
really
of course,
good.
but like
Yeah.
in
It's
what this
awesome.
one event, what does it mean to you as a panel though? Like, so many people are invested in your format and are kind of trusting what you're doing because they turn up. It's not a broken format. I don't want to turn up. It's going to be full of affinity. I don't want to turn up. It's going to be full of this X, Y, and Z. They actually turn up because they want to play and they want to have fun doing it.
I think it just puts the importance of what we do,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
it's very easy, and I totally get this, to, in the grand scheme of Magic, be like, yeah, Pauper's over there doing its thing, it has the panel to make some bans, let's focus on the other formats, modern, standard. I totally get that, 100%. Those are for big formats, they're bigger formats. But showing that there are this many people that want to come out and play is like, oh, right, we impact all these people, and all the leagues they play in, and all the Magic they
Yeah.
do, and, it really is like, yes, we have a strong commitment and diligence. We're not just like deciding what to ban, unban willy-nilly. Not
Yeah.
that we'd ever do that, but like it's very important, and it kind of reinvigorates me a little bit.
Agreed. And considering a lot of Pauper is on Magic Online for all these challenges and events, it's just really nice to see it in person. Like just seeing people being really excited, seeing people travel outside of Italy to come to the event. Like one of my opponents today was from the Czech Republic and they made the trip. It's just like, I really love Pauper. I want to play paper Pauper because, paper Magic's great. And it's just really wholesome and it's just really great to see people excited, play with a pile of commons and just have fun.
You get to see like the fruits of your labor, basically.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You don't
basically,
get, you don't
it's-
get the appreciation of it when you.
It's really validating
Yeah.
as a panel that we can just go and see that.
Okay, someone did just put something nice in chat that I thought was really good. And I guess it's pointed towards you, Gavin, how it works. But reprints, like there's some cards that have only seen one print that see a lot of play in Pauper. So I'm saying thinking like Thermocast. Some bits feel like Dust to Dust needs a reprint, etc. How does that come out? Does it have to be good in that set, or do you, as a panel, can you kind of recommend, hey, can we get this one reprinted anytime soon? Is any sets coming up that this can happen in?
Yeah, I kind of have a good pulse on what needs to be reprinted. And actually, I think it was Paige that went through and did a research project where she's like, here's all the cards that haven't been reprinted in a while that could stand to be reprinted. We're not just going to shoehorn them in for no reason, right?
Yeah,
especially in a draftable set, it has to make sense. But, especially as we do things like secret lairs or, just whatever, cool booster fun treatments, whatever, it's nice to be able to find places to sprinkle those in. So I know everyone's always asking for foil dust to dust.
Yes, that's a real point because I don't need more copies of Dust to Dust, but I need the foil version. It's impossible to play without this card foil.
Yeah, see, you can tell. He's very
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
very
Okay,
important.
I've got the answer for all of you. Chat wants Pauper Horizons.
Pauper Horizons.
That's
So,
there's
this
your
is a
chance.
question for
But no,
Every card is a common.
and why with the Sword to Plowshares common? I'm trying. Every time I try.
It's good. So someone's trying to fight the good fight. and it gets on his
Every
hard
time I
win.
try, so.
but now I get it just from doing coverage this weekend and just seeing people playing. I see people play with like the secret lair, like Mirrodin lands, and they're like blinging out their decks, like they clearly love about Pauper. It's just also great to see.
Well, Pauper is such an accessible format that also for the people that really want to go in deep, it's awesome to get the blingiest.
Yeah,
deck,
you see
right?
like beta lands and stuff, and that's more expensive than the deck itself. It's a labor of love.
There's one player in the tournament I watched who's playing this teamer ramp deck basically. I think he was 6-0. I don't know if he won his last round or not. But his deck was huge. It was all double sleeved. Everything was super foil. Like his lands even his basic lands were like full art, rainbow foil lands. It was crazy. So like some people go all in. Yeah.
It's good seeing there's people really investing in the format. You know what I mean? I actually picked up some foil Poison Storm cards today, but whatever.
It's time, Poison Storm. It's time for Poison Storm.
I called it yesterday, and I love it when things come to fruition. When talking about calling it, I would like you all to do like your predictions for decks that you're going to see in the top 8 this weekend. What do you think are going to be the top 8 decks? Obviously, I don't want you to name 8 decks each, but give me 2 each that you think. Let's start right to left and give Gavin the hard choice. Any 2 decks you can't repeat it. Go.
So I'd like to see Jeskai Ephemerate on top, and I think for sure some Ponza because it's too played, so it's statistic. So
I'll say mono red because we haven't talked a lot about mono red, but the deck's still.
Oh,
pretty
we saw
good.
it last round.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
word, did we
like-
see it last round? It looked like a modern deck going
Yeah,
off.
it's
I was
very
like,
aggressive.
whoa.
So we'll say Godolphin red. I think that will be in there, and I would love to see Madness with Sneaky Snapper.
Okay, yeah.
I just want to see some MH3 representation, and that just seems like a really cool card just to add to that deck that you wouldn't normally think about, and it's just cool ingenuity.
Sweet. And then you can't say Mardu.
I won't choose my deck. Affinity is the one that no one said yet. Which I'm hoping for pretty diverse top 8. Like the top 8, the top tables look pretty good. But if like 2 copies of Affinity made it, I wouldn't be surprised. And then the other deck I was going to say is the new Glee combo deck.
Yes.
There's a number of those running around, and I love it. What I love about Paupergeddon, it's 2 weeks after the set came out. So there's a number of Glee combo decks all hanging out, but they're all a little bit different, right? Some are 3 colors, some are 2 colors, some play removal spells, some skew that entirely. Some are like cycling through their deck with Wizard Rockets and Chromatic Stars that no one can agree on like the best win condition. So it's been very fun because I played against it twice in the tournament, and both decks were very different, right?
Yeah.
So I predict one of those will make it through.
Okay,
I
sick.
think that you want 2 of this combo just because you have a good matchup against.
Yeah, I mean, against the decks you guys said, I feel like I have some good sideboarding against that combo deck, and also, I mean, I wish I had sideboarded more cards for red because the red decks, like we were talking yesterday, we're like, oh, red, probably no one's gonna bring it, like it's gonna be low, whatever. Then it was huge today, and I think that really ate on the Ponza decks, right? The Ponza decks are so weak to mono red. When you have a start like you saw in the last match with like Tomb Raider into Tomb Raider, the Ponza decks, like it's so hard for them to ever beat that, you know? So.
None of you said Poison Storm.
No.
Just for
But you're right here, Will, so you can say
I'm not
it.
part of the panel.
What's your favorite?
Well, I just knew you would say it, you know?
Yeah.
I would have said Boggles, so just throwing it out there. I feel like shout out to the Boggles players. Next up, what's the most underrated common in MH3 that you think should see more play? And obviously, we spoke about the ones you thought would see play. We spoke about some of the ones that you didn't even, but wasn't really on your radar, so to speak, with Sneaky Snacker and Faven Charm. Is there anything that you guys thought this card we need to keep an eye on, but it hasn't actually turned up this weekend?
I think that the most underrated before this before the last week was the Chrysalid, because no one single content creator was speaking about this card, but this card was I think that the first to break the metagame. So
I think also the 1 and a green. Look at your top 4.
Yeah,
one make a
like
spawn. That's another card that you wouldn't have
everyone just
predicted.
missed on. Yeah, that was one I missed out on, and it's now in Bogles. It's now in Ponza. It's really good against like Tithing Blade decks because it creates a token. It protects your biggest threat. Yeah.
All right, well, we're going to come to like a close here. So is there anything that I haven't asked or chat hasn't asked you want to get across to the audience? Because this is your open, address to them, something that we don't happen too often. Is there something you want them to know? Feel free to tell them. If you don't, then we'll wrap it. But let's go one each. If you've got something you want to pass across them, maybe, we're on your side. We're doing our best. We're trying to get Affinity unbanned. We're trying to make it Infex playable. Anything like that, feel free to throw it across. Or you can just tell me your favorite pizza that someone's just put in chat.
yeah,
We are in Italy.
That is true. That is true.
Go on, Emma, tell me.
So something I want to say about Pauper is like, it's really affordable. You shouldn't worry about playing the best decks. You can literally make a deck out of your leftover boosters that you open, and you should just engage with that and have fun.
It's one of the appeals of this format, right?
Literally, you can open a booster box and create a Pauper deck out of that booster box. So you should just go and jam it and have fun.
Sick.
I don't know. The only thing that appear in my mind is please stop to ask for downgrade. I cannot do that. so everyone is asking. Everyone asks every time for these kind of things, but we have no power to do that. So
no, you just got you stop downgrades going into the format, but you can't actually just downgrade cards into it, which makes sense.
Also, the people's downgrades ask are so funny. They're like, can Day of Judgment be common? I'm like, no, Day of Judgment cannot be common. You gotta work for it. And I actually enjoy in Pauper how often you gotta work for it a little bit, right? Okay, I got my -2/-2 spell, but this 2/3 lines up really well against it. For me, honestly, an event like this, seeing it here, it's just all about the players. Like, thank you all for caring about Pauper, for watching the broadcast, seeing what's been going on out there, because it's so cool to see almost 700 players in a room playing this format and just loving it. The games have been fantastic. The community has been amazing. And I cannot wait to see what we have tomorrow as we show off Pauper all day long.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. But we'll be closing off today's broadcast. 7 rounds we've cast today. Tomorrow we're going to come back with 5 more rounds of Swiss before we get to that top 8. So if you haven't hit that follow button, well, you need to hit it right now to make sure you're aware when we go live tomorrow morning. Because the round 1 feature match is going to be Poison Storm, maybe against Gareth.